So I've posted him on Instagram, I've posted him on Twitter, and now we're finally making our YouTube debut. Yay! Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Kim and I'm an elementary school teacher here in Yokohama, Japan. I am also a recent puppy mom. Yay! And as promised, I am finally going to get this video out to you to introduce to you my new little Chihuahua, Bandit. So if you've been following my previous videos or if you've been following me on another platform, you know that in July my dog Sinbad passed away. He was a 15-year-old Pomeranian, and I was so lucky and blessed to have spent 15 and a half years with him. Dealing with his death was really hard for me, and I knew that I was eventually going to get another dog, but I just didn't know when, and I wasn't sure about how everything was going to work out. But let me tell you something. Sometimes things just happen and you know when the right time is, or you know who the right dog is. It just all sort of falls into place. And that's what happened in my case. So I spoke a little bit in my previous video about how I chose Bandit and how we sort of met by fate, because I was actually looking for a Pomeranian and then realizing that every Pomeranian that I met I was comparing unfairly to Sinbad. So I decided that I wasn't going to get another Pomeranian. I decided to find another breed that would be small enough to fit into our lifestyle, because as I've said before, my mom is afraid of dogs. She's not a pet person. She never really interacted much with pets. It was usually my dad and me that took care of the pets. So this was going to be the first time that my mom has actually handled and grew up with a puppy. So I had to make sure that it was a puppy that wouldn't be intimidating for her or maybe too scary to deal with. And it was just pure coincidence when I went to go look at a Pomeranian that I saw a Bandit in the same play area. I watched and observed, and I kind of knew that he was the one. After watching and observing the dogs, I knew that Bandit, or the Chihuahua that I saw, was the one that I wanted, but I wasn't ready to talk to anybody yet because I had to do some research. I did not know very much about Chihuahuas. I've had Huskies, I've had a Basset Hound, I've had a Poodle, I've had a Pomeranian, but I've never had a Chihuahua. I do have a lot of friends that have Chihuahuas, and I just started looking around. I started watching a lot of videos. I started looking at a lot of articles. And I thought, okay, this could work. This could work. Especially in Japan, because houses and homes are really small. And just being able to get from place to place when you have a dog, as far as going to the veterinarian, going out to dog parks, etc., a smaller dog would suit our lifestyle better at this moment. Maybe if I ever get rich and have a nice huge yard, I would love to have a lot more bigger dogs like my Husky, but at the moment a smaller dog was a lot more suitable for my mother and my lifestyle. I went to go talk to the agent that worked at the store, and she was amazing. Not only was she super friendly and just easy to talk to, but we had good conversations, and I really applaud the way that they ask questions to make sure that you know what you're getting into, to make sure that you know that having a dog is a commitment. And because I was a former dog mom, it was pretty easy and obvious to the lady that I spoke with that I was ready and I did have experience, and that Bandit would be coming into a loving home. So in Japan, when your purchasing a pet. And I'm not quite sure how the adoption procedures work if you're going to a rescue shelter, but anywhere that you get a pet, there's a pretty big, I don't want to say checklist, but there is kind of a background check to make sure that you're able to take care of your pet and that you understand all these different things that could happen or might happen. So within the contract, there's a lot of different clauses. Like, for example, if your pet gets sick within the first so many months that you have them at your home, if something doesn't work out and maybe you bring your pet home and you have a lot of trouble that you didn't anticipate, or they didn't get along with your family members or whatever. Hopefully that wouldn't be the case, but they go over all these different things with you. And I was really lucky because they had a contract in English, so it made it easier for me to look over the points and look over and see what would happen if, you know, worst case scenario happened, or what would happen if this or this happened. So I felt very, very comfortable and well informed about everything that went along with getting Bandit. The other thing I thought was really good is they have a little care pack that goes along with the purchase of your dog, and the care pack includes pet insurance and getting your pet started on pet insurance. It has discounts on different supplies you may need, different classes or courses or people that they can introduce you to, so that you have opportunities to socialize your pet, or speak with a trainer, or talk with someone if you're having trouble with your pet. Maybe if you're a first-time pet owner, you need somebody to ask questions about. So I felt that it was a really good package deal. I was especially happy with the insurance because when I bought Sinbad, I also purchased insurance, pet insurance. And I had never done that before when I was in the U.S. I don't recall my husky Sundance ever having any sort of pet insurance. And because you really don't know what might happen down the road, whether your pet might get sick or have an accident, or if something happens like what happened to Sinbad, where he had a condition that we didn't know about until he was about 6 years old, and that meant very expensive medical bills. All of that is explained and covered in your insurance. So I was really glad that they had a company and a pet plan all set up, and got that all taken care of. And then just having introductions or a network of support systems and orientations to be able to go to with your new puppy was really reassuring. Now, Bandit was born on April Fool's Day, so perfect for me, right? And so he was an older puppy amongst, you know, a lot of 6-week-old puppies. When I got Sinbad was he 5 weeks or 6 weeks? I think he was 6 weeks. So I had to pretty much teach him so many things from right the very beginning. But I had a lot of opportunities to socialize Sinbad with my coworkers, with the neighborhood dogs, and he picked things up really quickly. So I was really grateful that Sinbad had a lot of opportunities to socialize at a very early age. However, we had to be careful because he hadn't had all his shots and vaccines yet, and we had to wait until he got everything before we could do the fun stuff like go out to dog runs or go out to dog cafes, etc. With Bandit, he had already had all his shots, including his rabies vaccine, and he was in an environment where he was constantly with other dogs. So he was constantly socializing. People were communicating with him all the time. He was being picked up by veterinarians or the animal hospital people that checked and make sure that everybody was okay. He was handled by people that came and maybe wanted to look at him. So he's very, very comfortable with people and with other animals. And that was exactly what I had hoped for, because it just makes it so much easier when you have a dog that has already sort of been socialized. The other thing too is he was familiar already with pet sheets and toilet sheets, and the only problem that they had told me he was having was sometimes he wasn't eating regularly. So perhaps it was a little bit of pickiness, because he would maybe play with his food but not eat it, and they were a little bit worried because sometimes, right, puppies need their nutrition, so they did have this puppy support powder, and he was getting his nutrition, but they said that sometimes he was a little bit of a picky eater. Now, I haven't had any problems with that so far. I did have to change his dog food though, because the one that they had recommended, actually she came out with several different recommendations and several of the ones that he was comfortable eating. So I went with one. I went with the cheaper one, and I guess maybe that's the reason why you buy more high quality dog food. I don't know, but he preferred the other dog food a lot more, and we haven't had any problems. He was right at the age where we were switching from 3 meals a day to 2 meals a day, and we kind of weaned him into that process, so he was eating smaller portions in the middle meal, and then the breakfast and dinner were a little bit more. Once we made that transition, it's been really, really easy. He's also been really good about going to the toilet in the right area, and he still hasn't gone outside. Like, we've been trying to go out on little walks, but he's still not quite used to the leash yet. Hopefully we'll be going to a junior puppy class where he'll learn a little bit more about that, and we'll have a little bit more time to walk. I wasn't going out so much when I got him in August, the end of August. And during September, it was still really humid. There were lots of mosquitoes, and it just wasn't comfortable for me. And I thought if it wasn't comfortable for me, it might not be comfortable for him until we got the medicine to make sure, right? The filaria medicine and the flea and tick medicine, all that stuff. I wanted all that I wanted all that taken care of so that I wouldn't have to worry about him going out on a humid day and getting eaten up by mosquitoes. Plus, the first time we went walking, I was the one that got eaten up by mosquitoes. So, yeah, as far as living in our home, my mom and Bandit have bonded really well. My mom has never been able to comfortably hold a dog or have a dog sit on her lap, and now her and Bandit are nap buddies. She actually goes on the couch, which we have kind of like laid out. It's a sofa bed, and we usually just keep it like a bed all the time, and she will take her afternoon nap. She'll sit on that couch or the sofa. Bandit will climb into her lap, and they both nap together, which I think is really cute. That is huge progress. Coming from a person that was afraid to even let a dog come near her, my mom has made leaps and bounds, and I think she's developed a really good bond with Bandit. Because he's still a puppy and she's a little bit worried when I go to work, she stays with him downstairs instead of going upstairs and watching her TV. She watches it downstairs instead, and I think it's really good. I think Bandit's been a really good therapy dog for my mom, because other than me, my mom doesn't really talk to anyone except for my aunt when she calls, but it kind of worries me because I want her to still keep her communication skills strong. And now that Bandit's there, I hear her talking to Bandit. I hear her conversing with him. And so I think it's made her a lot more positive, and that's like a win-win for me, is seeing her a lot more positive and happy, and having Bandit so affectionate. I think between like Sinbad and Bandit, I've been really lucky because I've always had dogs that are very affectionate and just cuddle buddies. And the only difference I see is that Sinbad wasn't a whiner and he didn't whimper. When he was upset, you could kind of hear him like grumbling growl, and then he'd bark. But Bandit, he's more, he's still a baby, so once in a while he'll let out a whimper, but he hasn't been a loud barker. My mom says he's had some times where he's very vocal, especially if he hears the neighbors. The neighbors have at least one Chihuahua. They used to have two. They might have two now. I don't know, because they rarely go out. We just hear them. So, yeah, and I guess that's how you can tell when dogs aren't socialized, because when we had Sinbad, those Chihuahuas were not very friendly at all. And Sinbad, we went close one time, and yeah, they weren't having it. But yeah, so I think those are the only dogs that Bandit hears and responds to. We've been to the neighborhood park, and he's really good with kids. Kids all come and, they come and ask if they can pet him, and Bandit's really good with other people. When Bandit and I go out, it's usually in his stroller, and we've been going to different places. Little by little, he's getting accustomed to riding in the car as well. Everything for him it's so cute, because to see the world through a puppy's eyes is kind of fun. I think it's kind of cool when you can see the world from someone else's perspective. So whether it's a baby's perspective, a pet's perspective, a significant other's perspective, just seeing how they look at the world sometimes is kind of an interesting experience. And so seeing what Bandit reacts to, or seeing what he's fascinated by, it's just kind of interesting. Now, the place where we got Bandit gives these puppy parties, which you sign up for. It's a limited number of space per party, but they only allow the puppies to come until they're 6 months of age. So unfortunately, the cutoff for Bandit has been October. But we were able to attend one puppy party, and that was great because it was more of a puppy orientation, and it was introducing your puppy to a little bit about how to introduce them to other dogs, how to get them to sit, how to get them to stay on your lap if you're someplace and you need to hold your dog on your lap, and just beginning socialization techniques. Now, they asked you to bring treats and food, and I've watched so many YouTube videos, right, where the first exercise is to get the treat and have your dog follow the treat around. Bandit is not really interested in treats and food. He's more interested in affection and attention and physical contact or words. So a lot of times it's just my tone of voice that will get Bandit following me or watching wherever I go. And he's very good about wanting to be praised. And now he's got a few treats that he'll follow. But at the beginning, he didn't follow any treats. So at the puppy party, he wasn't interested in the treats. He was more interested in the adults and the other dogs. We also went this week to a facility that is especially made for dogs. I highly recommend those of you that are living in the Kanto or Kanagawa area, you're close enough to go to this place. It's called Wangkot, and they've got a huge indoor dog run. They have a divided dog run so that small dogs can play with other small dogs and big dogs can play with other big dogs. And let me tell you, the day that we went, we saw these huge dogs. I think it was, what are they called, the Great Pyrenees? Yes, this dog was huge, and there were two of them. And in our particular area, when we took Bandit, it was a bunch of poodles and one miniature dachshund. Okay, at his puppy party, it was 3 Yorkshire Terriers, all unrelated, but, oh wait, not 3 Yorkshire Terriers, I take that back. 2 Yorkshire Terriers and a miniature Schnauzer. And it was funny because Bandit just went to the Schnauzer right away. The Schnauzer was a little bit scared, and Bandit, the trainer said, Bandit can be a little bit intimidating, and because he goes right up in their face and just kind of stands there and just stares. Doesn't bark. The other dogs are barking or backing away, and Bandit just stays there. And that's what happened at this particular dog run, because there was a couple of poodles that did not like Bandit. And I don't think it was, actually, maybe it wasn't that they didn't like him. They were curious about him. Maybe just seeing a dog that looks totally different from, you know, the poodles that they're around. Maybe that was like a first, because this poodle would just keep barking and following Bandit. And there's a trainer there, or there's a person watching over all the dogs. And she kept coming up, and they were calming the dogs. It wasn't an aggressive bark, but it was funny because Bandit would just stand there and just like even come closer. But it was his pose. It was kind of funny, like are you asking me to play? Do you want to play? And then wherever he went, like the other dog would sort of follow, like watch Bandit go to the toilet area. He'd watch Bandit go lick a toy, and it was kind of cute. And at the end, all the dogs got along well. But Bandit made it a point to go to every single human that was there to make contact, including this little baby that was sitting on one of the pet parents' lap. And, you know, you're monitoring everything at one time because you don't want anything to happen. But it was just, Bandit had to go around and just happily greet every single person. So... yeah, so with this place, if for those of you that are interested, I'll link it down below. You do have to register online. It's a 3,000 yen, which is about a $30 fee to register your dog, and you put a lot of information in, and it's for everybody's safety. And then when you go to the place for the first time, you have to make sure you have all the vaccination slips. You also have to have proof that your dog is either being treated for anti-flea medicine, heartworms, filaria, all that stuff. And you also have to prove that your dog is registered. So in Japan, you need to register your dog at the city hall of the area that you live in. And I did that right away, so Bandit's all legal. And you bring all those papers, you bring, what else? Was that all that? Yeah, maybe that was all the documents you needed. And once you have all those documents, then they take all the information. Oh, I know what the other thing was. Your own personal identification. They take copies of all of it, and then they give you a nice member's card. Member's card is great because then you have access to the facility. There are certain times when the facility is rented out, and I could totally see why. Like if you're having a puppy party of your own, or let's say you want to get a group of friends together and you just want your dogs to play together, or maybe your dog's a dog that is small but wants to play with bigger dogs because their friends are bigger. You know, so you can rent out different rooms so that you can have your own private play party. That didn't sound play puppy party, play dog party. It also has a lot of rehabilitation facilities, so like water therapy and different grooming treatments. And it's also connected to a pet store, which is the same chain of where Bandit is from. So I have a discount card there that gives me discounts on all the items that are sold there. And I think they also have a veterinarian or an animal hospital, and everything is very well monitored. So each dog run has a trainer or somebody that's watching to make sure that nothing happens. There's registration desks everywhere. There's a little community space where you can enjoy maybe a drink or a coffee and have your dogs there, maybe socialize with other people. The way I found out about this facility was actually for their pet hotel. The reason I was interested in their pet hotel was for Sinbad, because they have a special care for senior dogs, and a lot of pet hotels won't take senior dogs. I guess for obvious reasons. They're afraid that perhaps something might happen, or maybe they need extra care, especially with their medical needs or whatever. So this particular pet hotel does allow senior dogs, and the rooms, my goodness, they're so nice. They have different ranges for whatever your dog's needs are, and I really felt comfortable. And I was thinking that if I had to go on my business trip to Australia, that's where I would put Sinbad. So I was following Woncott a lot on Instagram, and they were constantly posting stories, and I felt really comfortable with what I saw. But since Australia got canceled, I didn't need to use the services, and I guess, well, Sinbad will never have had the chance to have stayed there, but in the future, if I do have to go on a business trip, I'm really thinking of putting Bandit there, because I was just very impressed with the 24-hour care that they have there and just the whole facility in general. It's right kind of next to Chinatown in Yokohama, so pretty easy to get to by train. I drove. They do have parking there, which is a little bit expensive, but if you're able to get a parking space in the building, you can get parking coupons for having used the dog run or having bought things at the pet store. So yeah, that was a great find. I'm really looking forward to taking Bandit out to a lot more places and going on another dog trip. As you guys know, I took Sinbad a lot. Actually, Sinbad went on a lot of dog trips, especially when he was younger, and I'm anxious to do that again with Bandit. He's got such a good disposition. I'm really fortunate. I don't want to say, yeah, he's not, you know how some people say, oh, my dog is so good, or my dog is so obedient. I wouldn't call Bandit that, because he does have personality, and he does have kind of a feisty side, but maybe that's because of me. The woman who works at my school, the office, she took a look at some of his videos and pictures that I had, and she's like, oh, you can tell he's your dog. So I thought, is that a compliment? But I thought about it, and I guess it's true. I guess when I play and bond with my dog, it's really important for me to make sure that my dog is happy and comfortable, and that he trusts me, and yeah, we do a lot of interaction, and I'm enjoying his personality. We're still getting to know each other. It's been, gosh, it's been a little over a month. I guess a month and a week since we've been together, and yeah, every day is just so much fun. I learn new things about him every day. As I told the office lady, when I wake up in the morning and Bandit is there, it just makes my day already off to a great start. When we go to bed and he cuddles up and snuggles wherever he can physically find a space to touch me or be on me, it's such a comforting feeling. And coming home after a hard day at work, a stressful day at work, or just when I've got so much school stuff on my mind, to come home and just have him greet me. Sometimes greet me with just wanting to play. And he does a lot of zoomies. Like a lot of times when I come home, sometimes he'll do the zoomies. He'll bring every single toy, and it's kind of cute. My mom says Bandit doesn't do that for her, so she really thinks it's me. But it's the greatest feeling in the world. And there isn't I'm not going to cry in this video, but there isn't a day that I don't think about Sinbad and I don't miss Sinbad. But having Bandit has been just a whole mood lifter. It's just made everything in my life back to being happy and positive, and yeah, it's a good feeling. So with that, we're gonna end this video, and you know you know you're gonna get lots more Bandit content as well. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for listening, and looking forward to sharing more videos with Bandit. And in the meantime, take care, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.